back from Resident Evil 5.
In 3D.
Whoa, it was amazing. There was a cool water effect once when Alice was knocked out under the water.
Yeah, the credit. That was the beginning when the title came up.
Uh-huh. I thought it was the coolest part because the 3D effect when you're under the water was kind of neat. Cool movie. I give it 5 out of 5.
This is the second movie I've watched in 3D. The first one was Avatar. I can tell you which one utilized the 3D effects properly, and it was not this one. Like, there was like a bit for the 3D glasses with like a bee flying at you. Like, it's like, oh, that was cool, but most of this was like, ooh, Alice is a little closer to you than normal.
Well, yeah, they still did slow motion-y shots with like the bullets that were clearly meant for showing off 3D and stuff. I mean, it was much like Afterlife in parts. You know, they did the kind of swooping around while things froze around, slow motion all the time.
Most of the 3D was just kind of pointless to me or not exciting.
And pointless was the theme of the film, such as bringing back characters for no reason. Like Michelle Rodriguez. First I thought, oh, it's because they magicked her alive with Las Plagas, but no, it was even more pointless like that. They still credit her as Rain, which was her name in the first movie, but she's not that character. She's a clone. Because there's an assembly line of clones at the other Umbrella lab where they do this. No, not the one that was destroyed at the end of Resident Evil 3. They have another lab where they do this, and they are making Alice clones again. And that's where you've seen those stupid shots of her playing house with Carlos, which was, just there to add, why would she possibly be in this house with Carlos? Oh man, that's really pointless. That's like the start of the movie too. After she gets knocked off the boat at the end of the fourth movie, they show the continuation of that. The helicopters come, and Alice gets knocked out, falls in the water, and then she wakes up. But it's not really even her waking up. It's just a clone of Alice waking up playing house with Carlos. And they have a daughter, which the real Alice takes for the majority of the film, because this daughter who's been made to care about the fake Alice, well, she thinks, the real Alice is her mother, so it means she has to watch over another little girl, which is great.
Well, the whole thing is, there's, 50 models that they make clones out of for different scenarios in this, and we'll get to that in a bit, but, the little girl, okay, in this scenario, she's the daughter of Alice and what's his fuck
Carlos.
And the daughter speaks sign language because she's deaf, and but she speaks sometimes while she does the sign language, and and then clone Alice in the house world is doing sign language with her.
Yeah, I love it.
And then
and real Alice knows it too.
Yeah, why the fuck does real Alice know sign language? This was something that I was not aware of, and so she's speaking sign language with her the whole time.
One of her many powers she no longer has. And by the way, I mentioned it when I reviewed Afterlife properly, but her dual wielding shotguns with no powers. It's still at the start of this movie, and it's still stupid. Oh yeah, and they, at the very start too, they redo Alice's speech, but this time they actually recorded her, Mila Jovovich saying it again, but they expanded on it and she covered all the movies. They still kind of glance over Extinction because that one doesn't fit in with what they're doing more, so they kind of ignore the fact that the world was destroyed in that one. Because the world's destroyed again in this one.
No. I thought the whole point of it was saying that it was a simulation the whole time. The cities and stuff. And that's why it was exactly like the Tokyo thing and all that.
No.
Really?
The whole movies did not take place in their simulations. They were small areas. They even went over that. And Vegas isn't even one of them.
Okay.
They had Tokyo.
Well, the Tokyo thing was exactly the same scene, though. With the zombie.
Yeah, that was in Afterlife.
Oh, so it was. Okay,
That's the start of the fourth
was
movie.
that supposed to be a simulation too, though? The one from the beginning of the fourth one?
I guess so, but that didn't factor in anything that happened in four. It was just a scene where they showed, the woman, the scene at the start of Afterlife where they're in the rain, and then this woman's kind of giving this guy the evil eye, and then she's a zombie and bites him. This happens again in this movie, but Alice is there, and she sees it happen. That's it.
Well, let's go over what this is. The simulations for the audience
Extinction,
here.
though, like where the world dried up and everything, that's still largely ignored. No, they're pretty much ignoring the Alice clone factory in that one because Umbrella was very ragtag. They were scrambling to do a lot in that one, and now we see Umbrella has a big factory of clones that they're wasting power constantly on because the whole point of this was they had these simulations of like New York, Tokyo, and other places to sell the T virus to all the major powers of the world, so they could start genetic wars with the T virus.
And
but
it's like they have memories and things for all the different clones in these simulations, so they would respond properly to the plague or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, why do they have all these detailed memories for all these clones in these different scenarios?
Mm-hmm. And why are they still running these scenarios now? Because they've already sold the virus. Like the genetic wars are happening. We see that at the very end of this film, that the wars have already broken out. But inside this Umbrella factory, they're still constantly wasting resources and like clones that they could just be making their soldiers to go out and fight for them. They're still running pointless house scenarios with an Alice clone and Carlos and whoever else they had. Michelle Rodriguez is their neighbor. Wacky neighbor comes over to borrow a cup of sugar, and then zombies are there. And there's a nice Michelle Rodriguez in this. One of her clones is nice. The other one acts like she did in the first film. And you know what was funny with that was just, I think that's one of the first times I've seen Michelle Rodriguez not play a bitch. Was the nice Michelle Rodriguez.
It was weird. Like, she's in there like, I can't use a gun. I went to a PTA meeting. Oh.
Yeah, and she actually did a decent job with the little time the nice one had to establish it was kind of a completely different character.
Well, the thing about the simulation scenes is those were the only scenes I actually cared about. Well, the one scene, I guess, because it was the only time it wasn't nonstop action. Like, it was literally the only time anyone had any moments to be a character and have any moments together to make you care about them. Because you don't care about anyone, because it's literally just shooting and loud noises, go to the next set piece, shooting and loud noises, go to the next set piece, fight a monster you don't know or care about.
Mm-hmm.
And like, at least in the clone scene with
Clone Wars.
The Clone Wars. At least in the Clone Wars, there was like the husband and wife and the daughter, and then you kind of establish this relationship with fake Alice and her daughter, and then you have Michelle Rodriguez, and none of them really factor into anything except the daughter and Rodriguez anyway, but at least it makes you care if they live or die. With everyone else, you don't care. Like,
well, I was getting fed up with it, like I told you anyway, like with the house scene, because you knew it was fake. You just wanted it to end so they could move on with the actual plot, because you knew this wasn't going to mean anything. And, it didn't. The life they were living in the fake world, it ends, and you get the little girl character and the nice Rodriguez for a couple scenes. That was it.
Well, I mean,
and the little girl's just there for Alice to save. And that's about it. It's just like, oh man, I immediately care for you because you were my fake daughter in the world I never lived in, but because you like me, that means I have a deep connection with you, and blah de blah, you're here to give me someone to save.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't buy their relationship because you don't. I mean, Alice, the real Alice, and the little clone girl, they don't really have any time to bond. I mean, like, because the little girl cares about her, she wants to care about her as her daughter, but then, like, you don't have any moments, like, literally from the moment they meet until the end of the movie, it's just, you hide over here while I fight. Hey, you, go hide. I'll fight. And so, it's not like there's any real connection there.
And there's a point where she gets captured by a giant licker. There's a giant licker in this. I don't know why. And it has her like in its tongue, like in its mouth, and she's like, I gotta go save her. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's dead, but no, through plot convenience, no, she's just in a blue sack, which is possibly on the liquor. Possibly not. I thought it was in the licker's stomach, which else just comes and rips through really easily. Well, which is very convenient because, the liquor has murdered and massacred everyone else it's come across. But this little girl, it just puts in a blue sack, which I think is its stomach, but maybe not. We'll see. And it's just really easy for Alice to come and rip that open. Like, oh, you're okay, little girl.
She's inside it like this, like she can't get it open, and then Alice comes over like it's freaking saran wrap.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're completely fine? Alright, that was pointless.
Why was she so convinced that she was alive is the thing. Like, the thing grabs her and goes up, and it puts her in its mouth, and then she's just like, I know she's alive. How do you know she's alive? It's killed everyone. Why would she be alive? There's no reason she would be.
Mm-hmm. Wesker is a sort of good guy in this one. No more throwing his sunglasses at Alice and company. Oh yeah, and Claire and Chris aren't even in this. I don't know. I guess
they're in a flashback, which is just scenes from.
It's scenes from Afterlife.
Yeah,
like near the boat scene.
Yeah,
and that's it. They weren't important because we had to introduce some more video game characters in here, like Leon S. Kennedy and Barry Burton. And they were those characters in the fact that they had their names. Barry looked pretty good, and Leon looked sort of like him. He wore the Resident Evil 4 coat at one point.
Well,
that's it. They were not their characters at all. They were very much in name and sort of looks only.
Well, the Barry guy I thought looked pretty close.
I'm saying Barry looked good. That's it, though. He does
Leon
not act at all like Barry. He does not have the same backstory as Barry. He is just someone who looks like Barry and has his name.
Yeah, and he's pretty pointless overall. Like, he doesn't do anything.
There's a scene where him and Jill, like the big scene with Barry and Jill in this one, is that they're shooting at each other. And then Barry dies!
Spoilers, Barry dies in this.
I don't care. Spoil this piece of shit. Barry dies. Fuck this movie. Fuck you, Resident Evil Retribution.
But the thing is, like, I haven't played the Resident Evil games. I've played, like a couple minutes of 4, and then I watched him play part of the first one. Mm-hmm. But I'm not familiar with the characters in mythology that well. Like, Phelan knows this stuff more than me. So really going into this, it should be that these movies stand as movies. They should not be, you have to do your homework to get them. But here's the thing, like, a lot of these, I could tell they were supposed to be references to things, and that's why they didn't make sense to me. Because they would make sense if I'd played the games, but they don't make sense to me. And the Leon character in there, I forgot he was supposed to be in it. And so when I see this guy with his little flippy 90s hair and his highlights, like, I'm like, who the fuck's little Twinkie highlight hair over here? Like, hey guys, I'm like, they're acting like he's important, but he's got no personality. I'm like, oh, right, they have the fucking Leon in this. I guess that's why he's important. But he does nothing. No one really does anything.
And speaking of doing nothing, they got that captain guy who got cut up by the laser in a million pieces. He's back in this because he's one of the assembly line clones.
What the fuck was the point of that? I don't think he had any lines even.
No, he said a few things. Like, kind of like, get them, fire, kind of shit like that. He was standing around the bad Michelle Rodriguez, who was part of their Umbrella army. Though, they still only used one copy of each of them. Like, they had a Carlos, they had that guy, I don't remember his name, and they had a Rain. No, because they've got a massive clone army, they've got 3 of them in this facility, as their soldiers. I don't know.
The fight scenes went on for just God forever. Like it literally was nonstop action, set piece to set piece to set piece, and like or action piece or whatever.
This movie really has no end because you're Alice is in this umbrella facility and you're waiting for them to get out so that there can be a moment with characters and stuff and you can learn what's going on and they can move on. But no, this whole movie is just the escape from the facility. And once they get out of there, there's a little scene with Wesker, and then that's the end.
And like they go on for forever. And here's the thing: like you know who's gonna make it out in the fights. You know, like the unnamed people are gonna die.
You thought I didn't know if Barry would live or die, but I mean, yeah. Anytime you've seen anyone who was not a video game character or one who's made more important, they would die. Barry's the only one that's like. He could go either way.
Well, most of the fight scenes were with Alice, and he knew she was going to make it, so it was really fucking pointless. Like, you didn't feel any concern if she was going to die or not.
Oh, yeah,
and especially, they have the fight at the end with her and Jill that goes on forever.
Yeah,
they're fighting each
really
other.
Boring.
And, like, all she's got to do is take off the little spider thing from her chest, and that's it. But she doesn't even think to do that. She's just trying to kill her the whole time, and they're like, oh, you really cared about Jill, I guess.
And that's the whole point of, like, it happening in Afterlife, when she did it to Claire. She knows that's how you snap someone out of it. It just gives them convenience amnesia for Claire through the whole thing. But, I mean, Jill, no, she's just fine.
Yeah, Jill's just fine. And the only reason that Alice even does it, takes it off, is because she's gonna die, and she's got no other option. It's like, what? So your last resort is save her and save yourself?
I was going to kill my friend, but I was like, oh yeah, I could save her and turn her back on my side.
This was my favorite part, okay, because it was so stupid. My favorite part is after she and Jill, she takes the thing off of Jill, and then Jill falls over because she's recovering from the spider thing being taken off her. And then Alice fights Michelle Rodriguez for a while, and they have this huge epic fight. And Michelle Rodriguez can pull like this fucking Kill Bill move out where she like hits her chest and stops her heart.
That made me think of the new Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah,
Mortal Kombat 9. Yeah,
things.
where they do the X-ray moves.
Yeah, they kept zooming in.
That's what I kept thinking of. I was like, well, this is a good Mortal Kombat 9 movie.
Yeah, and
bones.
and then the hearts would stop, and she pulled it on one of the guys and killed him. And so
yeah, she killed Luther from the fourth movie. Who cares?
Yeah. She kills one guy with it, so this is a move that kills them because it stops their heart. Well, she does the same thing to Alice, and Alice is like, her heart stops, and she falls over and she's dying for like forever. And then, as she's dying on the ground, Jill is like, she sees a gun, and she starts reaching for it, and you're like, oh no, Jill's gonna save the day because Alice is out. And then she grabs it, and she goes, Alice! And throws it to her.
Yeah.
The dying woman to shoot the gun. And there's no reason Jill can't do this because she's just recovering from the spider thing. She's not injured or anything.
Yeah. The only reason Alice needs the gun, too, is because she's the one who has the plan to shoot the ice. But Jill doesn't know that. She just throws her the gun like, oh, I'm perfectly fine now, but here, Alice, you take the gun because you're the only competent character in these movies.
And then Alice recovers from the Heartstopper move, oh, I guess it kind of took me out for a bit. Yeah. Like, she just recovered from that when it killed the other guy.
And you know what? Like, it really should have been like, Jill grabs the gun and Alice tells her, shoot the ice, and then that's the way it went down. But no, because Alice has to be the character who does everything in these movies, she tosses the gun to the dying woman. It's the mentality of these movies. They're all so incompetent around her. Like, all they can manage to do is die. And maybe they can prolong things. Like, even the fight with Jill and Alice, they've had this establishing thing, like, earlier on in the movie, Mila Jovovich gets injured in her side, and she keeps checking, and there's blood. I'm sure the whole reason that's there is just because Alice would destroy Jill in a fight in like 2 seconds if she wasn't, mortally wounded.
Well, what I loved about that is like, okay, after they have a huge gunfight or something, I don't know if she was shot in her side or what, just some sort of injury.
I think a bullet grazed her.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And she kind of like acknowledges it. And then there's like this long-term amount of time where you forget she's injured because she's doing like backflips in the air and she's doing all these fights and like superpowers no normal person would have, and she does not have her powers. And And then, like, it's like she remembers she's injured. Like, she's, like, walking, like, oh, yeah,
One of them I
okay.
love, too, where the first one, I think, is where she's found the little girl. She goes, you run up ahead for a little bit just so she can go, oh. It's like, so you're sending the little girl further up the street when she immediately runs up and catches up to her. But it's like, you go up ahead. You could possibly get caught by a zombie while you're not safe near me. You run up there. I need to do this. Oh, blood. Good one.
You know how Wesker took away her powers?
He stabs her in her neck and they turn right the fuck back on. It's that easy. Off. On. We need your powers because you've got to help us fight the Red Queen. The Red Queen, okay, I need to go over this too. They show a flashback of the first movie with the Red Queen, and it's someone else. It's completely different looking. I leaned over to Allison, like, they recasted her. And I was like, no, in my head, I was like, I knew that had to be because they're going to reuse the Red Queen in this. And the Red Queen is now the main bad guy. Wesker's, like I said, a sort of good guy. He's fighting. He has an army in the real world fighting the Red Queen's army of zombies and umbrella people because she also has zombies that fire guns and stuff. I don't know how. That's never explained. There's just a part where they're fighting zombies that are like soldiers and stuff. But the Red Queen somehow, despite being stuck down in that facility and them frying her in the first movie, she has now become a superpower through unknown means and has taken over all of Umbrella. That makes sense, right? The facility that couldn't even contact the main Umbrella offices, the computer from there has now taken over the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Like, she couldn't even contact them. She couldn't call them and tell them what happened down there. And it wasn't even a malicious computer in the first movie. It was just that it was overprotective and would not let people leave the facility.
Remember, in this one, she goes, you're all gonna die down here.
Yeah, they do a fucking callback to the line. Like, they have it for no reason. She's on a screen, and she's turned to the side just so she can do the same turn she did in the first movie. You're all going to die down here. I've heard that before. Good one, Alice.
Like, she does, like, I've heard that before, and, like, groan.
Oh, that was so bad. Like, I groaned when the Red Queen said the line again, and then Alice, I've heard that before. It's like, oh, even worse. Oh yeah, Ada Wong's in this too. She works for Wesker. There's not much else to her character either. She's just Wesker's number one lackey.
Well, it's another one of those things, like, they act like she's important, so I get that she's a character from the games, but there is absolutely no reason for me to believe that she has any significance to anything. Or anyone, really. I mean, like, there's nothing in this movie that wasn't a complete waste of time, because, like, I've only seen the first Resident Evil, and I saw his reviews of the other Resident Evil movies. I hated the first one. And all of them look the same. It just seems like the same thing. I have no idea what is in this story that's supposed to compel me to watch it. Not even the action pieces were good because I was bored by all of it because I had no reason to care why any of this was happening because I knew she was going to make it out and I didn't have any reason to care about anyone else in there. Mm-hmm. Like, I kind of was like, oh, I wish Barry made it to see if Barry was going to do anything, but he didn't, and that's only because he likes Barry. It's not like there was anything in the movie to make me like Barry.
Yeah, no, in this movie, it's just like, oh, no, that is the only reason I had a connection to him was because I like Barry. But, I mean, in this movie, just he's a blank character named Barry who looks like Barry from the games. But, no, they don't do anything with him at all. Like, there's no backstory. They could have even done something like with Jill and him. Like, maybe Jill recognizes him from her past, but we don't know what her past is anymore besides being a cop who was suspended and then the zombie outbreak happened. And because, she was a cop who was suspended, that means Umbrella, despite having a clone army at their disposal, they need to put their little red spider do thing on her and have her lead their forces, because who else but an ex-cop would be sufficient for that? Yeah. Clearly, she is the biggest force in the universe. Jill Valentine, that girl who was a cop. We need her. And I love there's a part too where Wesker shuts down the computers for Alice to start. It also shuts Jill down because she's got the spider thing on her chest controlling her. She's now completely computer controlled until they take that off, apparently. Because it shows her like asleep and then it's like, system rebooting. It's like, she's still a fucking human. She's not a computer now. Like, what if the thing turned off? You'd think she would just be herself again, maybe. Not just it shuts her down like a computer. Oh, Jill, power off. No sandwiches. Pew!
Yeah, I was really hoping that Barry would say something involving a sandwich, or like be eating a sandwich at one point.
You have no idea how much I want something like that.
Like I thought
that'd be the one glimmer in the sea of dull 3D garbage.
He seems so out of place too. His costume seemed really out of place because, like, I know Ada had the red dress and everything, but like with
that's
the group
kind of
dudes,
out of place too.
Well, it is kind of out of place, but like especially with the group of dudes, like all of them are wearing like really muted or dark colors, and then there's Barry in his red shirt just walking around. Like it doesn't look like it fits. He looks like he does in the games. I mean, or in the game. I guess he was only in the one, right? Except the little Game Boy or whatever. I don't know what they could have done to improve it, because even if they made him an interesting character, it's like you have no other reason to care. There's no one else to latch on.
They should have still had a backstory with him and Jill and done something there. But I mean, him and Leon, they're both just kind of like, we're here. You know us from the games, right?
Leon had no personality whatsoever. At least the guy playing
There's
Barry
one
was
scene with
trying.
Leon and Ada at the end where he's like puts his hand on her leg, and then she's
like, and then there's this really awkward pause.
And that's their story. Is I don't know.
I didn't even know there was that going on. They just throw it in at the end, and they don't even play. It's not even done very well. Like you get like a small chuckle maybe. Because you were so bored by the rest of it,
that was something.
They didn't have any scenes together until the end. I mean, they talked about her because they knew her. The group
just
of guys.
Leon's like, she's the best, and then she's captured through most of the film.
Yeah, they're like, she's always got a plan, getting captured.
Yeah,
because like the whole point is like these group of guys, Leon, Luther, and Barry, and then Dead Meat guys. They're working with Ada and Wesker and all them, and they're breaking in to get Alice and Ada out so they can all meet up and then get out of the facility. I mean, like, you're going to need all the help you can get out of there. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, well, it's just going to be Alice, Leon, and Ada making it out of there. Everyone else is dead meat. Oh, and the little kid, because somehow she made it through. It's just Leon and Barry, actually. And Jill and all them are shooting at them. And then they come out and shoot, and they'll go back. What are the other people shooting at while they're behind these pillars? Because there's no one else. There's two guys, and they just keep shooting. You hear this gunfire going, and there's two guys behind the pillars, and they're not shooting at them. What are they shooting at? They're just wasting all their ammo in this shootout.
That's what Umbrella does. They just waste resources in this apocalyptic world. Apocalypse 2, that is. And Extinction's Apocalypse was alright, but then the Red Queen came in with armies and stuff, and it's Apocalypse 2. Here it's just going to go through maybe another one, who knows. It'll get better, and then it'll be like, nah, not really.
Ooh, it looks like a stupid medieval dragon movie at the end of it. When they're like, they go out and they're on top of the White House. Yeah, and there's they pan out, and then like
bat
the whole
zombies or something.
Yeah, and they're all like, all these creatures are like crawling around. There's all this fire and everything. It looked like the end of like fucking In the Name of the King 3 or something. Yeah. I mean, like it didn't even look like.
It just looked like a stupid movie, where there's a big army thing going on. Like, I haven't seen Terminator Salvation, but it made me think of shots of that where, it's just completely destroyed with the fight going on. It's the humans versus the Red Queen's clones and zombies, like I said before. Oh yeah, and it's clarified in this one that the tentacles are just zombie things, but Las Plagas, that's what bad Michelle Rodriguez, she sticks some Las Plagas in her neck actually. And that makes her just super powered because they have Las Plagas in here. They don't explain where or what these are. It's just, oh, you've got Las Plagas, and she puts it in her arm, and that makes her super powered for that long fight where Alice fights Jill, and then Luther and Leon fight Michelle Rodriguez for a long time. But that's what Las Plagas are now in the films, and the tentacle things. That's just what zombies do. They are Las Plagas, but no, it's zombies. Whatever. Wesker's headquarters in this one are in the White House.
But why?
I'm Wesker.
But why?
Because that's the most secure place in the world, the White House. No, it's not. But Wesker's there anyway.
I'm gonna go to the White House now.
Yeah, he just goes there for the dramatic impact, I think, of showing the White House at the end where it zooms out and shows the war going on between everyone. And good guy Wesker. That sounds like an awesome plot. Yeah.
He's not really.
He's a good guy, but not really.
But
Wesker. He'll throw his sunglasses at the Red Queen. Yeah, he's one of those guys who's like, they play him as the sort of good guy you can't trust because he's just on your side until things go probably back to normal, and then Alice will kill him or whatever.
I kept focusing on the roots of his hair. It looked like a bad dye job. And the guy looks too bulky. Like, I'm used to the other Wesker, and so he looks like he's too bulky for Wesker. Hey guys, I'm Bulky Wesker. I'm the President of the United States.
There's the first scene where you see Wesker's like a sort of good guy in this one where she's talking to him on a screen. They're still in like the umbrella thing. And there's these desks with all these people who are dead, but they were in the floor first, and they rose up. So that's the way these people worked first. They stayed at these desks that would rise up from the floor.
Why would the desks need to be in the floor in the first place?
But,
what would they use that
were they
space
down
for?
in another office, and then if someone went in that room, they would just suddenly rise up, and that would be a really distracting work area. Oh shit, someone went in the room above.
I just don't know why that setup would need to be like that in the first place. Did they need to
That's what I'm saying.
save space and then use that room for something else when the desks were in the floor?
Yeah. Everyone get away from your desks. They're going on the floor again. Oh shit!
And then they had the gun rack come up from there, where all the office people needed a gun in the middle of the workday, and so a little rack with guns would come out for them to grab.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly the way it was. And, this umbrella thing is set up like this. Prison, hallway, hologram room of, Tokyo first. Office, further down another hologram room of New York, I think, was the next one. It's, just a line of stupidity. How does this workspace make any sense to these people?
Well, I want to know why the fucking 300-foot tall cell room they had that she was in.
It has a big umbrella
huge.
logo.
Yeah, and then it's and then the entrance is just on the side or whatever, and it's okay, so why do you have this fucking huge cell room for no reason?
Oh fuck yeah, that's something else I wanted to mention. The noise they play when they're torturing Alice in this stupid umbrella cell room is so fucking annoying. It's probably not as bad once it comes out of the theater, but in the theater that noise was annoying me.
Everything was annoying in the movie. It was so loud.
I know it was
obnoxious.
Annoying, but that noise, and it went for a long time every time they played it at her. What? Because they were trying to torture her, Jill would pop in the window and ask a question, then she wouldn't answer it, and then be like, and I was like, fucking stop it!
It was, I just mean all the sound was annoying in it because it was loud and obnoxious.
Yeah, but that noise in particular was even, like, it was grating to listen to.
Well, it was. That was
And it's
the
like,
point, but yeah.
I know it's the point, but it's like you don't do that so it gets so annoying that you almost want to walk out of the theater room until it stops playing it.
Oh, she was naked again, by the way.
Yeah, they put her in the same little slip thing where she was naked, like at the end of 2, or at the start of the end of 1 and the start of 2. I guess that's a standard umbrella prisoner wear or something. Alice gets out of her cell, and then it's like, counting down till when the computer restarts, and she's just standing there, like. And then the lasers come in the grid thing, and then she chases her into the office.
Here's what I want to know: why was the cell equipped with clothing and because
yeah, and that's
she's
what
in
it
the middle of the
defaults
cell.
to too. Like if the computer goes off, the cell has a little alcove it shoots out with like a commando outfit thing for a prisoner apparently.
Yeah, and I want to know why their commando outfit has a little umbrella logo in the boob slot and all that. What is this design that they made? And it's suctioned to her body like it was made for her.
Yeah. And in a cell though, why is with the computer off does that come out? Like it shouldn't be there in the first place, but why is the default that comes out because the computer's off? Like, computer off, now opening alcove and now opening the cell doors because if the power goes out, well then you're fucked at Umbrella headquarters. Well, got anyone in the prison? Open the doors.
Well, no. Presumably it was Wesker and Ada were the ones doing that. They were
saying
they
but
got
it just
her out.
says they turned the system off. I just don't buy they had that level of control when all it said was the computer was shut off. Like,
I don't know.
If she had gone and physically opened a door while the computer was off and stuff, and then found that suit somewhere, that I could go with that. But why would it just auto open a door, auto shoot this suit out for her in the prison?
And then, it's like everything is conveniently handed to her. She comes out in the combat gear. She goes into the little office area. The desks come up. And then the weapons shoot up. And so she's got weapons and puts them all in little holsters and stuff. So she has the weapons. It's all these things oh, well, that's convenient.
It's a dull ride of a bunch of fight scenes where you're waiting for something more to happen than them escaping this facility. And then nothing does. And, the ending is not an ending at all. It is just sequel bait. It's like, all right, and this movie does not have a conclusion. You just need to see the 6th one for how it actually ends. Because, why put an ending in at all? I want to make a 6th one. Apparently that's supposed to be the last one, is the 6th one in Paul W.S. Anderson's mind. That's the way he has it planned right now.
It just felt like filler, honestly, and
it really
felt
was.
like a big waste of time.
What was accomplished? Alice is now teamed up with Wesker with her powers back. He just keeps hitting reset buttons. He does something to reset the powers in the first place, and then it's like, no, actually, I think she needs them back. Reset the fucking afterlife thing.
Oh, we'll get rid of the clones, and then we'll have clones again.
Yeah, she had her fucking clones. I hate the whole clone thing, too. Either the implication is that Alice was a clone the whole time, or she was Alice Prime, one or the other. The thing is that Umbrella had 2 facilities now making Alice clones. Either Umbrella, all their employees are clones, which makes no sense because they've never used all these clones in any of the other films, when they were really needing for soldiers and stuff, especially in Extinction. But like I said, they try to ignore that one happened a lot of the time. So they had this clone army they were sitting on with these people they could program any way they want. They make a very clear point of, they can program these clones any which way they want. They can make an Alice clone either the housewife we see, near the start of this movie, or an Umbrella soldier. And I took that as maybe a hint that Alice, the one we followed the whole time, is maybe a clone, but maybe they just got DNA from all their employees, and they, make off the rack Carlos's and Rain's and Alice's the whole time. But the thing is, they were trying to clone Alice again in the third one because she's got that special DNA that bonded with the T virus. If she was an off the rack thing the whole time, they already had it. Why were they trying to clone their clone?
Well, see, I don't know.
And maybe she is the Alice Prime, and it still doesn't make much sense because they were already cloning this model anyway. They didn't need another facility set up somewhere else to clone her again.
I don't know. See, I took it as that she was the original one, and they said that she was one of 50 models that they had. So you could interpret it as her being one of the clones, but I kind of took it as she was the original one. And all the other ones were clones.
Like I said, either way, I don't think it makes no sense.
No, it just depends on which nonsensical one you want to go with.
Mm-hmm. Let's throw our sunglasses at Retribution. I'm a clone.